We are not going to be able to cure Alzheimer's or Parkinson's, but we can slow down the progression and get many more years of brain health.
Welcome to Startup Health TV, where we celebrate the entrepreneurs and the innovators who are transforming health. I'm Logan Plaster with my friend here, Nathan Intrator, the CEO and founder of Neurosteer. Nathan, good to see you again.
Good to see you again.
Last time we talked, we were on the streets of Philadelphia at AAIC. I know Neurosteer is moving fast, so I know things have happened since then. But before we get into your latest news, why don't you just level set on what you've built?
So we built a very small device that uses a little patch on the forehead and takes a single EEG channel, but it's a very sensitive device. So the signal is very rich, and with very advanced mathematics, we obtain out of that signal a lot of information about different functional neural networks from the brain. And in addition to taking information about each single neural network separately, we can take information about all of them together, which in the fMRI world is called connectivity analysis. So we are the only ones doing connectivity analysis from a single EEG channel. Now that connectivity analysis changes when there are different neurodegenerations. So for example, when there's beta amyloid, something changes in the connectivity. When there's dopamine depletion, something else changes. When there's vascular dementia, something changes. So by looking at the different patterns of changes in connectivity, we can say what is going on. And it is quite sensitive, so it can show such changes even before there are symptoms.
How did you get into this work?
So my background is signal processing. I understood that, and my interest in the brain has been from my undergraduate studies. I've done work on dolphins, on the auditory system of dolphins, trying to understand how they do such signal processing so well. And I realized that this chorus of 100 billion neurons is probably producing the most sophisticated signal and requires the most advanced signal processing in order to interpret it. And that's what we are bringing to the table.
So when you say the richness of the signal, that really ties to your particular expertise in signal processing. So a consumer might say, oh, I know what an EEG is. We already have some of these ways of getting signals. What I'm hearing you say is you've got a new way of processing those signals?
Absolutely. So this signal is known for 100 years. And we are reinventing the way to analyze that.
How to read it. Okay. Why does that matter functionally? Does it let you know that you have Alzheimer's? Does it let you know that you have a neurodegenerative disease? What does it mean for a patient?
So if we take an example from cardiac problems, we know that we can start taking statins at the age of 45 to avoid a heart attack at 75 because the statins reduce the buildup of artery blockage. Same with the brain. We are not going to be able to cure Alzheimer's or Parkinson's, but we can slow down the progression. And if we know that the disease is starting, we can then start taking medications to slow down the progression. So for Alzheimer, there are now 2 such drugs on the market, and I believe that there's in the pipeline several other drugs of that nature. And all of them suggest that as you detect it as early as possible, you can then slow down and get many more years of brain health.
What's the process been like of clinically validating this test?
Clinical studies with doctors, with clinics that have labeled data of those patients. And that labeled data comes currently from beta amyloid PET CT, or from CSF, which is a spinal tap kind of test. And I'm very happy to say that we are about to start the study at Boston University that will do exactly that. And another study at the VA hospital in Boston that will also provide neurofeedback to the patients to improve memory consolidation. So because our EEG can read the brain in real time, it can be used for neurofeedback as well, which is what we are doing.
Okay. One conversation that keeps coming up when I talk to folks who are in the Alzheimer's Moonshot is the idea of shifting attitudes on a patient's desire to know earlier whether they may have a cognitive problem. 20 years ago, you didn't want to know because there was nothing you could do about it. How are you seeing those attitudes shift? You mentioned that there's treatments coming online, but there's still culture shift that has to take place?
Absolutely. Now that Medicare is providing reimbursement for these two drugs, a lot of people say, well, I want to know because maybe I can take these drugs.
Yeah.
And I believe that is going to be a shift that cannot go back. So people would want to know, would want to understand that lifestyle changes can really help and would need this extra motivation to do a lifestyle change and also to go into drugs to actually try to live as healthy as possible for as long as possible.
So tell me exactly how it works. You said a single lead, so it's adhesive on the forehead.
Yeah,
Small footprint.
exactly.
How long does it take? What does it feel like?
Well, we have an auditory guided test for 15 minutes, verbal instructions and musical cognitive challenges. The person is listening and performing the challenges. They have a clicker in their hand to kind of respond. And at the end of the test, we provide an automatic report telling what's going on.
Okay, what's in the report? What will I learn?
So that report, there's like multiple reports. There's a brain health report that can talk about anxiety and can talk about potential cognitive problems. And as we get FDA clearance, there will be a clear report saying there's a risk for Alzheimer's or for vascular dementia or Alzheimer and vascular dementia, etc.
You mentioned anxiety. What's it going to tell me? Let's say I struggle with anxiety. What's it going to tell me about it, and how's it going to be helpful to me?
So anxiety is actually very, very important and underestimated. It is the brain not being able to shut the brain down and focus on one thing. We are giving now this interview in a very noisy room, and I need to ignore all the noise and listen to you and be focused on this. When there's anxiety, the brain cannot do exactly that, okay? So the frontotemporal lobe acts a little bit like a conductor of an orchestra that quietens down different parts of the brain and lets other parts be active. When people are anxious, they cannot shut that, and therefore the brain is working too much, kind of full gas in neutral, as we said, and therefore it's very difficult for the brain to function. And we can provide a neurofeedback that actually can help patients, even before taking drugs for that, actually can help them train their brain, retrain their brain to reduce anxiety.
So I'm wearing the device. You're seeing that I'm overstimulated, so I'm anxious, but you can see it visually. And then what, am I doing an activity that then brings it down? So I'm training myself to, in the moment, bring down my level of stimulation?
Exactly. So the simplest one would be to concentrate on breathing, which actually slows down the breathing and also quietens you down. And that is very common in different meditations. And maybe we'll demonstrate it a little later. But other people concentrate on some counting, simple number counting, or simple focusing on a specific spot in the air. Anything that you focus on helps you calm down other things.
And then importantly, I'm visualizing it, so I actually know that it's working, and that visualization is probably reinforcing, sure, let's keep doing this breathing exercise because I can see that it's working.
And slowly you learn to do the breathing exercise in the background when you're talking, when you're focused, when you're doing some cognitive challenges, and still keep that breathing in the background so that it calms you down.
I can only imagine that if I was training myself to lower that anxiety level, I was seeing a visualization of my brain activity while doing the breathing exercise, I'd begin to become more attuned to my brain. Like, oh, I can almost see what's happening.
This is what we say, that rather than learning to dance in a dark room, we prefer to learn to dance in front of a mirror. And that's what we are doing. We are providing that kind of mirror to the brain so you can really train yourself and see the feedback right away and say, oh, this works, this doesn't work, etc. And Lisa, who is demonstrating it, is actually doing that. She's looking and seeing what works better, what works worse, and then she focuses on what works better.
Okay, last question, what's next?
So clinical trials are very important.
Yeah, how long will that take?
That would take a while, that would take a year, but we'll have some pilot results fairly on. We are in another clinical trial at Mount Sinai that is actually going very well. This is in the ICU to monitor patients with brain trauma. Very, very important, and we are progressing nicely there. And we started with actually consumers or B2B marketing to clinicians, concierge doctors, etc., for patients who are paying out of pocket who want to get an information about their brain health.
Okay.
So we can, in addition, with a doctor, provide information about their brain health.
Have you been successful at making it affordable in that setting?
Starting to, yes.
Okay. I mean, that's sort of probably one of the goals because it's a low impact sort of device. Very cool.
Which enables us, to collect more data, and we are really building a big repository of brain data that helps us with a lot of other diseases.
Awesome. Well, Nathan, thanks for giving me the update. Exciting to hear about your Boston study, and we'll be excited to see kind of how that fleshes out. Thanks for coming by.
So much. Thank you.